So I want to thank our reader this week. I'm at the Center for Spiritual Living Conference, and so I had lots of choices. And I want to thank the Chariot duo, Amy and Jesse, and our CSL music team for the wonderful music that they've provided for us today. We're continuing on our journey through the untethered soul, and today we concentrate on chapter 7, transforming the tendency to close. So far, we've examined part 1, which was about awareness consciousness. And we began our discussion last week on part 2, experiencing energy. And as you heard in the reading today, we now experience the daily need to defend our self-concepts rather than our bodies. Our major struggles end up being with our own inner fears, insecurities, and destructive behavior patterns, and not with outside forces. So today, we examine how to transform our tendency to close ourselves off and thus protect ourselves from all that energy drain. First, let me give you the question for the week. What is that one choice that you can make today to release your grip on the illusion of control, to open yourself to the unknown, to trust in the wisdom of the universe, and to surrender to the divine flow of existence? One more time. What is that one choice you can make today to release your grip on the illusion of control, to open yourself to the unknown, to trust in the wisdom of the universe, and to surrender to the divine flow of existence? In this chapter, Singer invites us to let go of our need to control things. Now, I don't know about you, but that seems far from an easy task for me, even if Singer does warn us that when we control things and try to protect ourselves, we're never free. I know controlling certain aspects of my life is a very bad habit. And Singer warns us that when we do try to control things, there's no room for growth. Our goal in this series is to untether our souls from those things that hold us back from opening ourselves up to the unknown. So today we look at how to begin to challenge that part of us that tends to close off and protect ourselves, and how to loosen our grip on our defenses and on our obsession over what people might think or do, and how to let go of things that hinder our spiritual growth. It's time to open yourself to whatever comes next. Are you willing to just be open to thinking about that for the next few minutes? If not, you're probably turning off the video already. So I guess I'll continue speaking to the brave souls who are still listening. The truth is, you don't have to follow your thoughts or your disturbed energy with your consciousness. You can choose to just observe those thoughts and energies as they come up and let them go. It's good news that your consciousness can't follow these energies unless you focus on them, unless, like we discussed last week, we allow them to take up residence and we give them a room in our mind. Have you ever watched a 2-year-old having a tantrum? That child feeds on attention. And if you just walk away, they quickly run out of steam. I know, I tried it. No, I didn't leave my granddaughter in any danger. I just walked around her and yes, she stopped her tantrum. No attention, no energy. Our negative emotions throw tantrums, and we feed them when we pay attention to them. The first few weeks in this series, we focused on becoming aware of our thoughts and emotions, those that block our spirit from feeling free. And today, I want to challenge you to make a commitment to recognize when your energy changes, when something or someone threatens your self-concept. Whenever you find yourself tensing or tightening up, notice it. Pay attention to it happening. Singer writes, since it's not socially acceptable to run into the woods and hide like a deer, you hide inside. You withdraw, close down, and pull back behind your protective shield. What you are actually doing is closing down your energy centers. What if instead you just chose to breathe and release it? What if you remembered, as in the meditation, you can relax now? Start out by practicing letting go of the small altercations that create your angst or frustrate you. Maybe those drivers that cut you off, or something that a spouse or a friend says that hits one of those buttons that you've installed in your lifetime. Singer encourages us to begin with the small things. We tend to let ourselves get bothered by the little meaningless things that happen every day. Yet, if we let go, we soon notice our inner freedom is within our grasp. The introduction to A Course in Miracles reminds us, as we learn to recognize our perpetual errors, we also learn to look past them or forgive. At the same time, we are forgiving ourselves, looking past our distorted self-concepts to the self that God created in us and as us. Now, I don't plan to focus on forgiveness today, but I do want to say that as we're moving through these chapters and taking this journey together to ourselves, forgiveness is a necessary tool when we fall short of what it was we were attempting to focus upon. And it does become easier to look past our distorted self-concepts of unworthiness or any form of not good enough and see the self that God created in and as us. It is so true that forgiving the situation or looking past whatever is bringing us angst or frustration or pain in any form is stepping fully into who God created us to be. Singer writes this: the reward for not protecting your psyche is liberation. You are free to walk through this world without a problem on your mind. You are just having fun, experiencing whatever happens next. Hey, I'm all for having fun. And if paying attention to my energies is going to bring more fun, I'm definitely signing up for that. And it's easier said than done. We have a tendency to want to protect ourselves or defend ourselves, especially around those buttons we spent years installing. And have you ever noticed how much work defending yourself is? Trying to prove you're right or explain to someone that someone else trespassed against you? Trust me, I think that's why many parents often remind each other to pick their battles with their children. Singer encourages us by letting us know that there is a light at the end of this energy draining tunnel. Here's what he has to say: you will eventually get conscious enough so that the minute you see the energy start getting strange, you stop. You stop getting involved in the energy. If anything is good news, it's that statement. It certainly is encouraging to think that we eventually see the disconnect as soon as it's happening, right? And I have to admit, it's a daily practice for me to stop getting involved in the energy drains. Singer goes even further, telling us, you have the ability to not go with any of these thoughts. You can just sit in the seat of consciousness and let go. A thought or emotion emerges, you notice it, and it passes by because you allow it to. This technique of freeing yourself is done with the understanding that thoughts and emotions are just objects of consciousness. Imagine what your life might look like if you noticed an ego tantrum happening and you gave it no energy. You just noticed it and moved on. What a spiritual practice that could be. And I love this next quote of Singer. The truth is, everything will be okay as soon as you are okay with everything. Reflect on those words for a minute and consider the ways in which resistance and aversion to life's experiences lead us to contract and shut down. All right, so will there really be a time when I'm okay with everything? I rather doubt it. My little judgmental self shows up now and again around others and even around myself. I can be very critical of me. I bet a lot of you can relate to that. And what Singer attempts to explain in this chapter is how draining that can be on our energy. Think about the last time you did something really well and were very pleased with the outcome. Were you not energized? Now, think of the last time you felt you messed up. How did you feel then? It was an energy drain, wasn't it? So, Singer reminds us the only way to be comfortable with life's constantly changing nature is to understand it. What an invitation to embrace life in all of its complexity, recognizing that true peace arises not from control or resistance, but from surrendering to the flow of existence. Carl was a quiet man. He didn't talk much. He would always greet you with a big smile and a firm handshake. Even after living in our neighborhood for over 30 years, no one can really say they knew him very well. Before his retirement, he took the bus to work every morning. The lone sight of him walking down the street often worried us. He had a slight limp from a bullet wound received in World War II, and watching him, we worried that although he had survived World War II, he may not make it through our changing uptown neighborhood with its ever increasing random violence and gangs and drug activity. When he saw the flyer at our local church asking for volunteers for caring for the gardens behind the minister's residence, he responded in his characteristically unassuming manner. Without failure, he just signed up. He was well into his 87th year when the very thing we had always feared finally happened. He was just finishing watering for the day when three gang members approached him. Ignoring their attempt to intimidate him, he simply asked, "Would you like a drink from the hose?" The tallest and toughest looking guy said, "Yeah, sure," with a benevolent little smile. And as Carl offered the hose to him, the other two grabbed Carl's arms, throwing him down. As the hose snaked crazily over the ground, dousing everyone in its way, Carl's assassins stole his retirement watch and his wallet and then fled. Carl tried to get himself up, but he had been thrown down on his bad leg. He lay there trying to gather himself as the minister came running out to help him. And although the minister had witnessed the attack from his window, he couldn't get there fast enough to stop it. "Carl, are you okay? Are you hurt?" the minister kept asking as he helped Carl to his feet. Carl just pressed a hand over his brow and sighed, shaking his head. "Just some punk kids. I hope they'll wise up someday." His wet clothes clung to his slight frame as he bent to pick up the hose. He adjusted the nozzle again and started to water. Confused and a little concerned, the minister asked, "Carl, what are you doing?" Carl's response, I've got to finish my watering. It's been very dry lately. Satisfying himself that Carl really was all right, the minister could only marvel. Carl was a man from a different time and place. A few weeks later, the three returned. Just as before, their threat was unchallenged. Carl again offered them a drink from his hose. This time they didn't rob him. They wrenched the hose from his hand and drenched him head to foot in the icy water. When they had finished their humiliation of him, they sauntered off down the street, throwing catcalls and curses, falling over one another, laughing at the hilarity of what they had just done. Carl just watched them. Then he turned toward the warmth-giving sun, picked up his hose, and went on with his watering. The summer was quickly fading into fall, and Carl was doing tilling when he was startled by a sudden approach of someone behind him. He stumbled and fell into some evergreen branches, and as he struggled to regain his footing, he turned to see the tall leader of his summer tormentors reaching down for him. He braced himself for the expected attack. "Don't worry, old man, I'm not going to hurt you this time." The young man spoke softly, still offering his tattooed and scarred hand to Carl. As he helped Carl get up, the man pulled a crumpled bag from his pocket and handed it to Carl. "What's this?" Carl asked. "It's your stuff," the man explained. "It's your stuff back, even the money in your wallet." "I don't understand," Carl said. "Why would you help me now?" The man shifted his feet, seeming embarrassed and ill at ease. "I learned something from you," he said. "I ran with that gang and hurt people like you. We picked you because you were old and we knew we could do it. Yet every time we came and did something to you, instead of yelling and fighting back, you tried to give us a drink. You didn't hate us for hating you. You kept showing love against our hate." He stopped for a moment. "I couldn't sleep after we stole your stuff, so here it is back." He paused for another awkward moment, not knowing what more there was to say. "That bag's my way of saying thanks for straightening me out, I guess." And with that, he walked off down the street. Carl looked at the sack in his hands and gingerly opened it. He took out his retirement watch and put it back on his wrist. Opened his wallet, he checked for his wedding photo. He gazed for a moment at the young bride that still smiled back at him all those years ago. He died one day after Christmas that winter. Many people attended his funeral in spite of the weather. In particular, the minister noticed a tall young man that he didn't know sitting quietly in a distant corner of the church. The minister spoke of Carl's garden as a lesson in life. In a voice made thick with unshed tears, he said, "Do your best and make your garden as beautiful as you can. We will never forget Carl and his garden." The following spring, another flyer went up. It read, "Person needed to care for Carl's garden." The flyer went unnoticed by the busy parishioners until one day when a knock was heard at the minister's office door. Opening the door, the minister saw a pair of scarred and tattooed hands holding the flyer. "I believe this is my job, if you'll have me," the young man said. The minister recognized him as the same man who had returned the stolen watch and wallet to Carl. He knew that Carl's kindness had turned his man's life around. As the minister handed him the keys to the garden shed, he said, "Yes, go take care of Carl's garden and honor him." One day, the young man approached the new minister and told him that he couldn't care for the garden any longer. He explained with a shy and happy smile, My wife just had a baby boy last night, and she's bringing him home on Saturday. Well, congratulations, said the minister as he was handed the garden keys. That's wonderful. What's the baby's name? Carl, he replied. I love that story because Carl surrendering to the flow of existence was a powerful lesson for everyone who knew him. Carl literally tattooed love on that young tattooed man's heart. He showed him how gentleness and compassion can shift a heart and a life. Perhaps that's what Singer was referring to when he said, you will get to a point in your growth where you understand that if you protect yourself, you will never be free. It's that simple. Just as Carl opened that young man's heart, we must find our own path of surrender, our own journey of letting go of the need to control and cling to fixed identities and outcomes. Singer describes surrender as a continuous letting go of that inner pressure to push away whatever is unpleasant and hold on to what is pleasant. Imagine the freedom that arises when we release our grip on the illusion of control and open ourselves to the unknown. For isn't control truly an illusion? If we embrace what I often say, everything is in divine order, then it seems like it would be easy to recognize trying to control things in our life is a big drain of energy. Admittedly, I'm still working on that lesson. And as we navigate life's twists and turns, we certainly can choose to cultivate the practice of surrender, trusting in the wisdom of the universe and surrendering to the divine flow of existence. Singer reminds us you have to understand that you can't control everything. Now, I doubt that's news to anyone listening, and yet we keep trying, don't we? If we want to untether our souls, we must choose to relinquish the illusion of control and surrender to the inherent intelligence of life itself. How? As we said earlier, Singer says begin with the small things. How about these few suggestions? Learn to breathe in those moments when you notice your buttons are being pushed. Send the driver of that car that cut you off a blessing rather than your angry thoughts. Give yourself permission to do something less than perfectly and still be happy with the outcome. Surround yourself with people who are positive and uplifting and who uplift you and up the level of optimism in your life. Volunteer and let somebody else tell you what to do. And when you notice your body feeling anxious or pressure, choose to stay calm by telling yourself you can. I encourage you to make your own list. Let's choose to engage in the practices of mindfulness and self inquiry and surrender that foster openness and receptivity to life's unfolding. Through conscious awareness and intentional action, we can each become vessels of divine grace, flowing with the rhythm of existence and opening ourselves to the infinite possibilities that await us, including all that infinite spiritual energy. The journey of transcending the tendency to close is a sacred pilgrimage, one that unfolds with each step we take. So let's take this week and allow these words of Singer to guide us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the vast tapestry of creation. And so, in summary, how might you fully allow yourself to transcend that tendency to close? Well, remember, release control and open yourself to the unknown. Trying to control things leaves no room for growth. So begin with the small things that bother you. Trust in the wisdom of the universe. Learn to have fun experiencing whatever happens next. Stop getting involved in the energy drains and be okay with everything that comes your way. Surrender to the divine flow of existence and be like Carl and tattoo love on people's hearts. Remember, you can't control everything. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it I so willingly, energetically, and effortlessly release my grip on the illusion of control, open myself to the unknown, trust in the wisdom of the universe, and surrender to the divine flow of existence? And your challenge this week? Make a conscious choice to engage in practices which keep your heart open and foster receptivity to however life is unfolding. And find a way each day to open yourself to the infinite spiritual energy always available to you. Let's pray. We take a deep, nourishing breath. We settle into that place where we know the divine lives. We settle into that place where we know that we are capable of surrender and openness. And we can allow that to continue to infuse our life with grace and peace. We carry that essence of these teachings into the tapestry of our lives this week, knowing that true liberation arises when we surrender to the flow of existence and open ourselves to the infinite possibilities that just await us, await our acceptance of them. So I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that you spent some time with us today. I'm grateful that we have gathered here together to figure out more ways of how we can untether our souls. And I'm extremely grateful that I know that the God without is the God within each of us, leading us to open our hearts fully, like Carl did. So it's from that gratitude that I release these words into the law of mind, spirit, and action, knowing the truth that right where we are, God is, and God has already said yes. So knowing that the divine has said yes and that it's already done, I can say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. And one of the things that I'm very grateful for is the people that continue to support this community, that continue to mail in their donations or send them through Venmo. I love this community, and I'm so, so grateful to the openness of the hearts that are a part of this community. Thank you very much. Enjoy our offertory song.